Good evening, everyone. It is Gabe from The Search for Tiki, and it is another night of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, presented by The Search for Tiki and sponsored by Scooter. We're nearing the end, guys. Halloween is just around the corner, but we have a lot more planned for you, especially tonight. First things first, though, I do have to say, unfortunately, Haven Cove Customs was not able to join us earlier tonight, unfortunately due to a hurricane that affected their neighborhood pretty badly. So my thoughts are with Haven Cove Customs. Would love to have them on the show in the future, but you got to do what you got to do, and you got to take care of your family, friends, and community. So Haven Cove Customs, thank you so much, and hope to chat with you soon. But tonight we have a couple exciting things going on. First of all, we're giving away a Tiki Mug. We're giving away this bad boy, the Dead Man Mug, which kind of resembles Davy Jones. I don't know. To me, it looks like Davy Jones. This is the green one. It's by Haven Cove Customs. We're going to be announcing the winner at the end of this video. Before we do that, though, super exciting, we get to talk to Tiki Tum. Tiki Tum is also known as Paul Briggs. He's co-director of Raya and the Last Dragon at Disney Animation. He's worked on Princess and the Frog, Frozen, Ahead of Story, Frozen 2, Big Hero 6. He's worked on some of my favorite all-time movies, and I'm so excited to talk to him. So I want to get as much time in with Tiki Tum as we can, so I'm going to see if I can bring him in here. It's good to see everybody joining. Thank you so much for watching. Ooh, we got some Tiki mugs.
How's it going?
That's a good start to the night, dude. That's a good start to the night.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Busy.
You tired?
A little bit, but it's all right.
A little bit.
Got a drink now, and so
Me
all
too.
is good. What are you drinking? Cheers.
I should be ashamed to admit that this is not a mixed cocktail. It is just full of rum.
Don't.
Smith and Cross all the way.
No shame in that. That's pure alcoholic.
What about you?
So I'm drinking quite a bit tomorrow, or no, Saturday. Doing a lot of drinking Saturday. So tonight, a little easy. It's just a rum and Coke tonight. So,
Perfect.
But in a Jeff Granito glass.
Red rum.
Yeah.
Jeff Granito was on our show earlier, so after this video, check out our video with Jeff Granito. He's a fantastic artist as well.
Great designer, yeah.
Man, I have so many questions, and I know like 3,000 of my questions.
I have questions for you.
You have questions for me?
Yeah.
I didn't plan for that.
Get ready.
Oh boy. I have like 3,000 questions for you, and I know at least 2/3 of them you can't answer, right? Because Disney's probably off limits. I might try to push my luck a little bit, but you can just tell me to knock it off.
We'll see.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you about, and you've mentioned it, so I'm hoping it's kind of fair game. You mentioned it at D23 that for Raya and the Last Dragon, you got to go on. It's kind of a Disney staple at this point, like a research trip. Yes.
Yeah. We always do tons of research, honestly. I mean, it's not just trips, but there's a lot of research that goes into the films. So we went through, very early on Raya, we were looking at like, well, I honestly had never been to Asia. And so I was like, I don't know anything about Asia. I know you love to travel too. So I'd love to hear like if you've traveled over there, but I'd never been to Asia. So, and right away we're like, well, maybe we should like start in China. And China was just massive. Like, where do you start in China?
Yep.
And I love Japan. I have two little boys. They're studying Japanese. Half their day is in Japanese right now, and then the other half is in English. They've been studying Japanese since kindergarten. So I've always wanted to go to Japan. But for some reason, we started looking, and we were like, you know what? Let's go to Southeast Asia first. Let's start there. And so we kind of came up with this itinerary of like, let's go to let's start in Vietnam. We'll start in North Vietnam, go down to South Vietnam, And then the plan was to fly to Thailand. And I was like, well, stop. We're going to fly over Cambodia and not go
Yeah.
to Angkor Wat? Like how, like I can't not go to Angkor Wat. I got to see Angkor Wat. So they were like, all right, we'll make a special stop in Cambodia. And then we went to Thailand, and then we went down to Indonesia. And totally incredible. Like I love Southeast Asia so much. Not only because, yeah, I mean, if you've never seen Angkor Wat, you have to see Angkor Wat in your lifetime. Like it's one of the most, like when I walked up to Angkor Thom, one of the temples, my knees got weak because I could not believe something like this had been built by humans.
And just by the sheer size of it?
Sheer size, the scale, there's everything's going on. There's like a whole experience of what you're seeing, but then you smell like they're burning like bamboo and wood in the air, and then it's hot, and there's like red dirt, so there's this rosy kind of haze in the air as well. And man, I was floored by it. I couldn't believe, like we're making a fantasy film, but this is fantasy in real life. It was absolutely incredible. Have you been there? Have you been to Cambodia?
So I have not. Cambodia and Bali, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to ask, have been at the top of my bucket list for as long as I can remember. Now, anytime you mention Cambodia or Bali, I think it's because a lot of people, like, it's just not on their radar. They don't have an understanding of it. So they immediately say that's unsafe. Why would you want to travel there?
Totally. Yeah, I was actually that way too. I was totally like, you know what? It was not too long ago when the Khmer Rouge rolled through Cambodia. It was the 70s. And so I was very scared going there. But I have to admit, once I was there, I felt extremely safe. And the people are incredible. I mean, that's why, I fell in love with Southeast Asia for what we're seeing, all of these temples, these incredible temples and the history. But really, part of our trip was to, like, I'm a story guy. And so part of our trip was to just stop and talk to people and listen to them and listen to their stories and not do a lot of talking, but just listen. And so that was a big, like, just aspect of just like why I fell in love with it. It was just the people. I mean, I had an amazing experience actually at one point. It is a poor country. There's poverty there. And there's a lot of people trying to sell you things. There's a lot of kids that'll break your heart that are trying to sell things.
Yep.
And which coming back, I started donating I'm a donator to the Cambodian Children's Fund, which I'm a huge kind of proponent for. It's a great kind of charity to donate to. Scott Neeson runs it. But at one point while we were traveling around, we told our guide, and our guide is used to like taking people to like the big sites, but we were like, we want to talk to people. So, which was weird for him. So he was like, okay, so we would be driving. He's like, let's pull over. There's a family. Let's go talk to them. And at one point we were in this really small little village, and we were walking around, and these three little kids, these little girls were trying to sell me these postcards. And they tell you, like, don't buy stuff from them. You don't want to support that. You want them to be in school. You don't want them to be out selling things, but it breaks your heart. You're just like, oh my God, I wish I could buy thousands of these for them. But so they're constantly just like around you trying to sell you these things. And at one point we were at this house, and this mom was kind of preparing some food, and we were kind of talking to her. And again, these three little girls are just like, 5 postcards for $1, 5 postcards for $1. And it broke my heart because I love, like, one of the things I love most is doing drawings for kids. Like, I think there's just something magical, like kids seeing somebody like make a drawing come to life. Because I remember that when I was a child.
Yep.
I remember seeing my dad's an architect. I remember seeing him drawing. And I was like, man, I wish I could do a drawing for them. But they have never seen Frozen. I know they've never seen Frozen. So it makes no sense to do a drawing of Frozen for them. And so it hit me. I was like, okay, I'll buy 5 postcards for $1. And our guide was like, no, what are you doing? I was like, it's okay, it's all right. So I bought these postcards. And then I told them, I was like, sit down. You three sit down right here. And so they're like, oh, okay, what's going on? They were a little scared. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you. And I just started drawing like a drawing, a little bit of a caricature, but not much. I wanted to make it really kind of try to capture them. I just started drawing one of the little girls. And I was like, okay, okay. And then I gave it to her. Like, she was at first like, wait, why are you giving back the thing you just bought? But I handed it to her, and right away she's just like, oh my God, that's me.
That's so
And
cool.
everything changed. Everything changed right then and there, because all of a sudden the mom saw that and she was like, well, and I was like, okay, the next one. And right away the mom started fixing the hair of the next one. Like, oh my God, we're getting our portraits drawn. And so like I drew, and they were laughing super hard, and it was super fun. And I was like, I just want to give you something. I have nothing. One of the few superpowers I have in this world is drawing. I'm just going to give you a drawing of yourself, because I don't know what you love and I don't know what you like, but here's something, here's what I do. And it was just a magical little moment of like, here, take this. So I love, like, that was a really
Dude,
special
that's so incredible. Just the aspect of not necessarily giving money, giving what you can't give, but giving what you have
yeah.
as a skill set to someone
Yeah.
else for that. Like, that's incredible. I love that
We all
story.
have superpowers, and it's like, what is your superpower and what are you willing to give, and try to make the world a little tiny bit better. So, but I know
One
you
of
love
my
yourself. So where have you
one of
traveled?
my
What things?
heroes
What's that?
is one of my heroes is Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Obviously, he comes to mind for me because he was very much anyone that knows Anthony Bourdain. He would tell you can go to a country, you can look at their landmarks, but if you're not talking to the people, if you're not eating their food, in his case, you're not really traveling.
Yeah.
So it comes back to Tiki because I went to Hawaii recently for a little over 2 weeks, between 2 and 3 weeks at Christmas time, because it was always a dream of mine to go to Hawaii at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Hawaii is expensive. I live in New Hampshire. None of my friends were able to afford to go to Hawaii with me. So it came down to the fact of, if I'm going to go to Hawaii, I'm going to do it by myself. And so I went to Hawaii by myself, traveled around Hawaii. And one of the things that I found really cool was going to tiki bars, because at tiki bars, there's a ready set community of people, and you can go there and people will just start talking to you. And it's a fantastic way to meet the locals. I learned so much from my time in Hawaii using tiki bars as a way to talk to people. And I was wondering if obviously there probably aren't too many tiki bars in Cambodia. How do you engage in those conversations with complete strangers? Do you have any tips?
Well, a lot of it, I think, is just, I find a lot of times it's just being just open and honest with who you are. I think in China, even, they have a thing, it's called guanxi, which is you kind of, you be open and honest with others first, and you kind of let them know, like, here's what I'm doing. And I think when you open up and you're honest, I think it shows a bit of vulnerability. And so I tried to approach talking to people a lot that way, where I was just going, here's why I'm here. It looks really crazy. I mean, I even walked up at one point to this wedding, and people freaked out over me. I had like my head shaved. I'm a big guy. And I think they thought this white Buddha had showed up, because they were like hugging me, and they were like, this old lady was like, just like groping me, because she was just, I don't know what was going on, but she felt like, I feel like you're lucky. And I was like, well, here's why I'm here. And once I did that, I think if you find some common ground with people, I talked with people a lot about just kind of how our country is really divided right now, and how there's so much division, and just people are just fighting and just can't trust each other. Because I knew, like, these people have come out of the Khmer Rouge. There's people in Vietnam that have come out of a war, and they're moving forward in the future. And I just wanted to learn from them, how they're doing it, it's painful, because they've lost so many family members. And they're at a point now where a lot of them talk about it like, yeah, I saw my friend get shot right in front of me, and I just had to run and I had to survive, and I'm just surviving. And so I think some people, I mean, it's nothing what we're going through is definitely anything compared to what they went through. But I think it's that. I think it's just opening up and saying, I'm struggling with this in my life. What are you struggling with, or what have you gone through? And just, again, like, I think it's really important to just sit back and listen to people and let them talk. Those are the best stories. That's where the best, honestly, the best story masterclass. If you want to learn storytelling, don't tell stories, but listen to stories. Listen to real, actual life stories, and people making choices and going, like I said, like I could either stand there and cry over my friend who was just shot, or I could run and I could try to survive. And I could, you know, this guy told me he lived in the forest for 3 months on his own because he just wanted to live. And he knew that if he went back, he would die. And so it's just like, whoa, gee, those are massive choices. That's life and death. And so I think those are, it's just being, it's just making people feel comfortable, I guess, to talk. So.
And those are the stories that, unless you leave your comfort zone, unless you leave, you know, the comfort of the United States, you're probably not going to get a lot of those stories. With that said, I mean, oftentimes there are people that look like they have it all together. You know, maybe you'd call them boring, for lack of a better word, but guaranteed they have stories of their own. Everybody has stories. Everybody has pain. Everybody has grief. Everybody has love.
We all have our demons.
So. Yeah.
Nobody's
One thing that you've said in the past, and you just kind of mentioned it again, that I love, I think it's absolutely fantastic. You've said, kind of as a suggestion to kids, that if you want to learn something, ask your grandparents or your parents about their choices. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that before. Usually you ask, like, hey, what's your past? But there's a difference between asking what your past is and, like, what choices did you make?
Huge.
And that is, like, so beautiful.
Huge. Yeah. You know, it's funny because my grandfather, I look back and I remember where he would just yap and yap and yap. And I would be like, oh my God, Papa, shut up. Like, he just never stopped talking. And I regret that. I regret not, you know, sitting down and listening to him, because he was saying things where it's like, look, I've screwed up in my life. I've screwed up and I've made mistakes, and I regret those mistakes, and I got to move forward. And I've made mistakes, and I look back now and I go, you know what? I regret some things too that I've done. So it's like, but you can't learn until you have to make those mistakes, but learn from those mistakes too. So yeah, I think it's really important just again, it goes back to listening to people. So, yeah.
I think it's a super cool way to eliminate prejudice too, in the regard of,
absolutely,
it doesn't matter if you're trying to understand a person. It doesn't matter what they look like, where they came from, where they are now. All you need to know is what choices are you making, and that will tell you a volume about a person.
Absolutely.
When you're drawing, so you just do these little sketches, you know, just little sketches. I'm sure they take you like 30 seconds or something, and they look like prompts. I don't know if you, when you were in school, if you were ever given a photo and you were like, write a 300-page story about this photo. Every single one of your drawings is a story. Do you think about the choices that your little doodles would make?
I do. I mean, that's always like, not a long time ago, but a while back, I stopped trying to do, I call it pretty pictures. Like, I just stopped trying to draw really pretty pictures because I was getting exhausted. And it's when I kind of first moved into story. I had been animating for a long time, and then I moved into story when I moved out to California. And I think at some point even I was in figure drawing, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and capture exactly what's in front of me. I'm going to like nail this anatomy and really figure out the pose and everything. And I thought that way for a really long time. And then I think at some point I was just like, I'm never going to draw like Glenn Keane. Like, I'm never going to draw like certain people that, you know, I just can't do that. I remember even sitting next to Aaron Blaze at a life drawing session. We had an animal. We had a hawk, and he was drawing this hawk. And I looked over and I was just like, man, I'm never going to be able to draw like that. That's like spot on. But I did, like, in my head, when I was always drawing, I was always going, well, what's the character? What's the story point here? Which is my story brain always goes there of like, who's the character? Who is this person? Why are you telling this moment in a character's story? Like, why is this moment important? And so I started just I was like, I'm just going to start drawing, trying to capture those. I'm going to try and capture moments. And like, I just did a drawing. They had the studio every week does like, well, they have figure drawing every day, but they had a witch come in, like a model in a witch costume. And I just posted this, but at one point she was sitting there and she had her legs kind of tucked in and she was holding like the broom. And I'm like, I can just draw that. That's great. But what I see is someone like covering their face somewhat. And I see them trying to be like somewhat sweet. And I was like, that's weird for a witch to be sweet. And so right away, my brain was like deceiving children. And so I drew this woman, like this witch basically sitting there with a broom and her legs kind of crossed in a weird way. And I drew 2 kids there. And then just kind of the story of like, oh, like this is when the witch from Hansel and Gretel met the 2 kids. And our hair is like super bright blonde, platinum blonde. The 2 kids have platinum blonde hair because I was like, you are what you eat. So of course she's going to have blonde hair. But just like that, all of a sudden I'm just like, oh man. And then I just get to a point where I'm like, all right, I got to stop, or I'll just keep my brain, like the curse of a story brain, like story artists, I think even have this where your brain is just constantly crafting a story and building a story. And so you start to go, oh man, now I see where this is going. Now I want to start boarding this or writing it. And you're like, okay.
And you just don't have the time.
No, it's like pump the brakes. You only have so much time. It's like, you gotta let this one go. Maybe that'll resurface another day, but move on to something else. So
Is that something that just happens? They just like bring in a witch one day and they're like, everybody draw the witch?
Yeah, that's the cool thing about animation is like they bring in like the best figure models do a character. And there's one guy who's amazing in LA who like, even before he hits the pose, he'll be like, oh, God damn it. I got to cook 50 pizzas today. And then he stops and you go, oh my God. Yeah. You set me up perfectly. I know exactly what I'm going to draw. So the models are great. But then even the cool thing about Disney, this has been going on forever. They even on like Bambi, they brought in deer. Lion King, they brought in lions. They're constantly bringing in animals. I missed it this last week, but they brought in like a tarantula. So online you could they had a tarantula that you could draw. So I love that stuff. That stuff is super fun.
So that's another question I have for you that you might not be able to answer, but for those that haven't seen the latest trailer of Raya and the Last Dragon, Tuk Tuk. Tuk Tuk is just like, Tuk Tuk's gold. It's Disney gold. I'm sure there's going to be merchandise and all kinds of stuff. I don't know it's kind of like a hedgehog, kind of like an armadillo.
Well, Tuk Tuk came about because there's a guy, Scott Watanabe, amazing business artist. He brought in a drawing of Raya sitting on a pill bug in one of our meetings. And I was like, oh my God, that is great. When you see something, you go, I've never seen that before. You go, that's great. That's really cool. That's really fun. And at the time, my son, he was 6. And he was really into pugs. I have no idea. I have no idea why he was into pugs. I do not like pugs.
Oh, no.
I don't. I've heard they have a lot of health problems. I've heard their butts leak. Like, nope, I'm out. Horrible. But but he was totally into it. And he was like drawing pugs. And I'm like, what if we took a pill bug and smashed a pug in there so it was a pill pug? And so all of a sudden, Scott started doing some drawings. Ami Thompson came in with some designs that, we were looking at. And then Corey Loftus is an incredible artist. He kind of came in with a drawing where we were like, oh my God, Tuk Tuk's incredible. And of course, he's named after, in Thailand, these Tuk Tuks are actually like these 3-wheel kind of taxis that take you around everywhere. Yeah. So it was kind of inspired by that. So it was like, he's great. I love Tuk Tuk. I actually kind of pushed even for them. They made, what was the company? They made like a little BB-8 toy that you could control by remote.
Yeah, I had one. Those things are fantastic.
Yes. I pitched actually for our products. I was like, why don't we make a giant one of those you can control by remote, but it's Tuk Tuk and you can just roll around on him. Like,
yes, 100% yes.
Yes. Turns out that's a little expensive. So
In fairness, that BB-8 was pretty expensive too for a
yeah,
toy. I think it was over $100. I don't remember how much exactly, but I remember when I bought it, I was like, "Do I really need this? No. Am I gonna buy it anyways? Yes, I am. Take my
yeah,
money."
yeah.
Do you guys have like is there like a hedgehog somewhere or an armadillo that you guys used as like a reference?
We did. We brought in an armadillo to draw one day. Yeah, we did. And I don't think we brought in a hedgehog, but we definitely brought in an armadillo. But yeah, like a armadillo, a pangolin, they all started to become inspiration for Tuk Tuk.
For
So
Tuk
yeah,
Tuk?
yeah, he's
You
great.
did a video online, which if people haven't watched, they should watch. It's like learn to draw with a Disney person, and you drew Hey Hey
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
it was kind of interesting to me because I've done the Rafiki Express at Disney World. You know, at
Uh-huh.
Animal Kingdom, you go to conservation station and you draw a Disney
Yeah.
character. Literally one of my favorite things at the Animal Kingdom, even though nobody knows about it. Um, but when you're taught Disney drawing, not as a Disney artist, you do the typical, here's your circle, you
Right.
know, do the ears.
Yeah.
You did not do any of that. You were just like, you know what? Here's Hey Hey, and there he is.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, I think just story artists are a weird breed because you got to do like I crank, I and others, you crank out 1,000 drawings a week. So you have to, as to be a really strong story artist, you have to develop a shorthand of just being able to draw something super quick. And so that's kind of it. And, when you do that though, your drawings don't necessarily they don't always look exactly like the character on model, but it's just like, I'm just going to crank this out because I'm more concerned and focused on the emotion that's happening. So, yeah, I think that's the power of a story artist is just a kind of the quick sketch ability. So,
as a story artist, would you say most of your job is creating storyboards and then presenting them? Or is it more like, hey, there's a conversation going on in this room and I need to draw this really quick?
it's both. Yeah, it's both. I think a story artist, again, like, there's multiple superpowers of a story artist. You have to be able to communicate clearly with your visuals. Like you have to be able to draw ideas and draw them clearly and make people feel for those things. That's like a superpower in itself. The other superpower is to be able to connect with people and not really connect with people, but empathize with people and understand like, I think our best story teams are always the ones that people go, well, I know what that's like because I've experienced that in my life. I know what it's like to lose somebody, and in that moment for them to be passing away and how I experience that is very similar to the way a lot of other people are going to experience that. So I think that's something that you have to bring to the story room as well. That's why I think the best story artists at Disney are the ones who they don't so much reference other Disney films. We do that a lot. We reference films a lot. We reference Disney films, but really when people reference true life experiences, that is like a great kind of just honest, raw emotion that is like, that's how I experienced it. And so that's a lot of that stuff just goes into the movie. And I think it's kind of what makes our films really great too, is people go, I get that. I felt the same way. So yeah, that's what
Is there something that stands out in your mind as an idea or a concept that was particularly difficult for you to draw?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with a lot of drawings. I struggle with a lot of, I struggle a lot with perspective, like drawing cars and shit. Like it's hard, but I think the most difficult drawings for me, and there's a lot of drawings, like I've done stuff and I throw it away. There's one day I spent all day just drawing. It was on Princess and the Frog, and it was in Mama Odie's song. And I remember there was a moment where in the script it says, like, I don't even know if we had script pages because it was just a song. But at this moment, it was like Naveen looks across the room and he sees Tiana dancing with Ray, the firefly. It's like Tiana's a frog. She's dancing with this firefly. And he's got a gold coin in his hand. But in this moment, because of this journey he's been on with her, in this moment, he looks over and he knows, I love this woman. I am in love with this woman. And I think I'm even to the point where I think I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman. Like, that's what's processing in this frog's head. He's not saying any of this stuff. A frog. But
just a little hurdle to draw.
But it all just has to be conveyed in his eyes. And I remember, like, all day I was like, just that, like, does he, like, lean forward? Is it one of those things where he leans back? And at the end of the day, I spent all day drawing. But at the end of the day, I remember all I did was I kept him totally still. And he drops the coin. And you just see his eyes open just a little bit. It was just that little spark of, like, I love her. Like, I don't care about money. I love her. And that's like to me, but I love those things. I love those moments. I just love those moments when, like, characters, even Raya, there's moments in Raya that there are these little, I call them micro actions, micro movements. And our animators are incredible at this now, especially, like, now working in CG. Like, our animators, there's this ability just to shift the eyes just a little bit, and you feel it. You feel like either betrayal or love or just pain, or oh man, I love, to me, those are my favorite moments in Raya are the really still little scenes where just a character, you just see, like, man, there's so much going on behind their eyes. I love that stuff. They're real. They become real then. So
I gotta be honest, I'm a little nervous. So I'm both ecstatic and excited for Raya.
Yeah.
And nervous because I know, obviously I've never met you in person, but I know you love choices. And so I just have a feeling that Raya is going to have to make some difficult choices. Is that safe to say? I know you can't talk about story, but.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, characters, I'll speak from, like, a place of, like, I do feel like characters are, I think you can believe the world is one way and it doesn't turn out to be that way. And that's a hard thing. I mean, I look at my boys and I look at the world they're growing up in and I go, this is not the world I want you to believe it like is. There's something better there. And so, so that's just talking about, like, a character who's broken. Like, a character can really believe in something and then they just get hurt and they're really broken. And so I think Raya is that journey. I think Raya has to go on that journey of, like, a person who's really broken. And I love that. I love stories like that. That's why, even with Raya, it was like, that's what, at its core, like, what it started with has always been that. So, in a nutshell, without giving much away, that's kind of what it is. So.
I am so excited. I so hope that everything clears up in time for March so that I can see this in the theater. I'm never going to smuggle in candy bars ever again because I just feel so bad for all the movie theaters. Charge $40 for a bucket of popcorn. I don't care. I want to see that movie in the theater.
Yeah, it's amazing. I will say really quickly, we've been going in, like, once every 2 weeks to see stuff in the theater on the big screen. And I am reminded how amazing it is to see things on the big screen. Like, it breaks my heart right now that Soul is going to go to Disney Plus, because I remember we watched Soul a while back, and I remember the scenes that were animated, seeing them in our theater, and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see people. Excited for people to see Raya on the big screen. So,
yeah. Fingers crossed.
How'd you get into Tiki? Let me ask you that really quick. I'm going to ask you some questions. How'd you get into
How
Tiki?
did I get into Tiki? It's kind of a fitting story. For you, in fact. I will tell it, but I hope I don't get emotional. When you live in New Hampshire,
yeah, a lot of Tiki.
California seems very far away when you're growing up as a kid in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
My dad was big into movies. Growing up, I had all the Disney VHSs that were like a different shape, you know, and that is so near and dear to my childhood. And I had a dream of going to a Disney place. I didn't know what D23 was at that time, but a Disney place, and being able to see some of the animators, the Imagineers, in person
Yeah.
at a panel. And last year, I had the opportunity to finally go. And so Angela, my girlfriend, and I, we flew to D23. And one of the panels we wanted to see was the art of storytelling,
Oh yeah.
which you were featured in.
Yeah. My good
We
friend
were one
John's.
of those crazy people that bunked overnight
Oh wow.
on the cold, dark basement floor
Uh,
in the hopes of doing some stuff at D23. It did not go well. We could
no.
not get into the panel.
No.
Yeah. And we were kind of faced with a choice.
If I would have known
Where
you now, if I would have known you then, I would have brought you. I'm
you
sorry.
would have brought me in. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. But Angela and I were kind of faced with a choice. This weekend is a bust. You know, it's clearly not going to happen for us. We can't get in any of the panels. We can't get any of the stores. We can either go back to the hotel and be depressed, or we can make the best of it.
Mm.
I had heard about a bar where you go, you order drinks, and something kind of magical happens. I didn't do a lot of research because I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
So I said to Angela, hey, do you want to go to this place? It's called Trader Sam's. It's at the Disneyland Hotel. We'll leave D23. That was a bust, but let's try to make the best of this weekend. So we went. That was my first tiki bar experience.
Wow.
Actually, the mug that so this Krakatoa, the fourth edition
Is that the
Krakatoa,
first mug you ever bought?
this is the first mug I ever bought.
Wow.
And I was at Trader Sam's because I could not get into your panel.
Oh, man.
I
You know
fell
what's
in love
weird
with tiki.
What's weird is I was probably at Trader Sam's the same time you were.
It's possible. It's possible.
Oh my God.
But
Wow.
I fell in love with tiki, obviously. Now it's a year later, and through I don't even know what, I have now had the chance to talk to you one-on-one through a live stream, and
Crazy.
my dream came true.
Crazy.
It was a totally roundabout way, but
It's all
pretty
full
cool
circle.
story.
You talk to Trader Brandon. Now here it's like it's all full circle. So
And Trader Brand is fantastic.
yeah.
I mean, truthfully, I just learned about tiki last August, right?
Mhm.
Because that's when D23 was. I'm from New Hampshire. I don't know any tiki people. I contacted Trader Brandon. I'm like, hey, I'm making this website. I think it's going to be really cool. I want to make a guide to Trader Sam's. You're fantastic. Can we work together? And he said yes. I don't know why he said yes, but he did. And it just set off a wave of things. And I'll be eternally grateful to Trader Brandon. Here I am talking to you.
Well,
Here I
I
am
think
talking to
that's the
so
cool
many
thing.
tiki artists.
Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing. Honestly, about even like, I mean, I've always been somewhat of a closet tiki person. Like I've done a ton of drawings, and I just like I think I started my Instagram like I didn't start it too long ago, but I've always just kind of been like I don't know, but that's the beauty of the tiki community because you meet so many amazing nice people. I mean it's incredible how many like I love that when you meet people that are they're super talented artists, and there's still some people like I have yet to meet. I only know them through Instagram, but guys like Van Tiki and Tiki Rob and Oakwash, and like there's so many people that I know online, but I've never met them. But I can just tell they're very genuine and very authentic, and they're just having fun and making stuff. I love that about the tiki community.
They're literally full of love. I mean, you go to Hawaii, the aloha spirit, all of that stuff is in the tiki community. Even if you're not in Hawaii, I have been blown away by the sheer amount of opportunities that have opened for me just by creating a tiki website.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I'm a guy from New Hampshire that nobody knows. And yet somehow when I message people, they're like, yeah, let's talk on Instagram. It is so cool. And that could only happen in the tiki community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It really kind of brightens your day when someone is just like, I dig what you're doing. It's like, I dig what you're doing. You know, Schroederville even, I'm like, oh my God, I love the stuff she's making. So it's just like, I just like it. I just like people making stuff and having fun. And it's just, it's a good place to be. So, yeah.
So another question for you. Tiki Tum.
Yeah.
Is it an alias for you, or is it like a character you've created?
Well, that's the whole thing. Is it's actually a character I've created, and I've never shared anything from it. But I have this file on my iPad that is just full of drawings. It's like tons and tons and tons of drawings. I've yet to share it, but yes, it is. There's a whole thing, and it's like, I think it's really fun. It's one of those things where it's like, I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool, but I'm not sure others will think it's very cool. So I don't know.
I think everybody in this chat would disagree with you. Literally everyone that sees this video will disagree with you.
Oh man, I don't know. It's like, so I've been hesitant to share, but yeah, it is a character, and it's funny because I'll see like even people on Instagram, I'll see them, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's a fun person that can come into Tiki Tum's world. And like, you know, what's that old surfer's name? Duke. Oh my God, I can't think of his last name all of a sudden. He's like an old, like famous Hawaiian surfer, Duke I can't think of the name. But,
yeah, there's a big statue of him on Waikiki Beach. Yeah.
Someone's gonna leave a comment on his last name, but he's in there. Like all of a sudden he creeps in. There's a woman. Her name is Ruby Champagne. I saw like a post from her, and I was like, I'm gonna draw her into this. Like people just come all of a sudden start creeping into the story, and I love it. It's a fun little kind of just it's just a fun character. But I don't know. It's gonna take me a little time before I'm like, okay, I'm ready to
reveal it to the world.
Yeah, he's a little weird. So
you know the Shaka story, right?
No, I don't. What is that?
You don't know the Shaka story?
No, I don't know it. I'm embarrassed.
Really?
I'm embarrassed, yes.
So I'm probably going to slaughter this. But basically, I think it was Duke, surfer guy, okay? He was friendly with the whole community. Everybody knew him. And he would wave to people as he was surfing.
Yeah.
And he had an accident that cut off his middle 3 fingers.
Really?
Yeah. And
I did not. Oh, there it is. Duke Kahanamoku. Wait, he lost these 3?
Correct. Well, you're holding up 2, but yeah, 3. So
wow.
he wasn't doing the Shaka. He was holding up his hand to wave to people, but he didn't have 3 fingers. And for whatever reason, because he was a friendly local, it caught on, and people did it back to him, and that was the Shaka.
That's pretty crazy. I never knew that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for people that don't know, the Shaka is kind of cool because it means like so many different things. It's not just one meaning, but it's like hello, goodbye, I love you.
Yeah.
Everything positive wrapped into one. And it's just a way when you're talking to strangers to be like, I don't know you. I don't know what you've gone through, but I like you. We can relate. And we're part of the same planet. And we share the same space.
Tiki. That's what Tiki is to me. So
yeah, it's Tiki. Yeah.
Cool.
So if I told that story incorrectly, people can comment when I post the video. But yeah. So another question I have for you. Tiki, obviously, there's 2 kinds of Tiki, and we come into this all the time where people are like, that's not Tiki. Yes, there is a very specific Tiki, which is like carved, and it represents a deity, and it's ancient Polynesian history. And then there's Tiki, which is just kind of adventurism.
Right.
And whatnot. You've drawn a lot of Tikis on your Instagram. When you draw your Tikis, do you view them as inanimate objects or as characters with personality?
Yeah, that's a tricky one because I do have a lot of, it's hard because I do have a lot of respect for Hawaiian deities, like gods. I'm like, that's, it's a tricky area. Like I struggle with that constantly, honestly, with Tiki, because I never want to disrespect anybody. I never want to disrespect a culture. And so even like I find my artwork these days, I do kind of start to dig into more research, and I'm kind of just going down this path of just looking at Oceania stuff even, and Polynesia, Melanesia, Micronesia, just kind of like researching that. And but I do struggle with that. I'm always like, yeah, there's two sides of it. There is like, it's hard because it's called tiki, but it really, I think there's this, it's a hard word to define like what it is we love and do. And then it's kind of also assigned to deities. So I'm kind of always trying to find this strange balance of being respectful, but also like doing what, people love here. So yeah, I don't know. How do you view it? How do you kind of go about it?
I mean, I don't draw because I'm not very good at it. But in the case of you, because all of your stuff is like your storyboard artist,
Yeah.
so everything has like a subtle connotation or a story behind it. I see your
Yeah.
tikis. A lot of people draw tikis and it's like kind of flat to me. Like this is a rigid interpretation of what a tiki used to be 60
Yeah.
years ago. And yours are more fluid. They have expressions. They have like a mischievous quality to them.
Yeah.
And so when I look at your Tiki Tum, which is a fantastic
Oh,
play of words,
yeah.
I can see each of those tikis having its own story.
Yeah,
Now, of
yeah.
course,
I mean,
like tikis in Polynesian history, they all have their own stories, right? Because they're based on deities. So it
right.
would make sense. But your characters in particular kind of have more life to them than what I see a
Yeah.
lot of the time.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, part of it is I kind of go into a fantasy place, honestly, with the ones I draw. And I look at more like, Mark Davis is obviously a huge inspiration of mine. So, I mean, I don't draw like Mark Davis, but he is a huge inspiration of mine.
Yep.
I look at what some of the stuff he did on the Enchanted Tiki Room, and I think it's kind of in that vein where I'm just like, I'm just trying to have fun and do a fantasy thing. I try not to. I always steer away from like doing characters of the actual deities. Like I don't like I'll draw some inspiration from them, but I never try to draw them doing things, and that's where I try to, again, like it's a fine line. There's a fine line of like, you don't want to be disrespectful, and I'm sure some people have looked at my stuff and gone, no, and I get that, I respect that, and I would even feel the same as somebody had done something, that I respect in my culture. I'd go, but so yeah, it's a fine balance I'm trying to find of like that fantasy, tiki fantasy.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I honestly love Moana, because like if you try to think about Tiki and you're like, what would the villain be of Tiki? I don't know if there really is one. And so for people that haven't seen Moana, I don't want to spoil it, but not everything is as it seems. And I think that's so perfect for that, a place in the world that just has so much love for everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that or how has Disney influenced your perspective on Tiki?
Well, it's weird because I don't know if I necessarily I don't know if I fell in love with Tiki first. I fell in love, and this is a weird, like, I think this is where I'm kind of different from a lot of people. When I was at art school, I actually was in the ceramics department doing stuff constantly. All my friends were in ceramics. And I went to
That's a curious coincidence.
School. What's that?
That's a curious coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, the place I went to was known for its ceramics. Like Ken Ferguson was this amazing ceramics teacher there. And I just found myself drawn to there. All my friends were in ceramics, and so I've always loved ceramics. And even to this day, like my good friends are still like, they're ceramic artists. I envy their life. Of course we all have like pros and cons in our life, but I look at what they're doing. I'm like, man, I wish I could just do ceramics all day. But so I fell in love with ceramics, but I've also always had this kind of, and this is something I found out in Southeast Asia too. I was in Thailand, or no, I was in Cambodia, and I was having my fortune read by this guy, and he was like, well, you're a wood tiger. Like your you're drawn to wood constantly.
Okay.
And so, but I've just always known like ceramics and wood, like I have this weird, like, I always, whenever I have the choice to make on certain things, furniture or decoration, I'm drawn to wood and ceramics. And so in a strange way, like tiki is like that for me. Like it's like the perfect combination of ceramics and wood. And that's a lot of my collection. I have weird, strict rules for myself, which nobody else would do, I know, but like I don't collect things that are red or purple or blue.
Okay.
Like I always go to things that are like wooden and look like wood. I have some white and black stuff, but it's just that wood to me. That's why I love like Woody Miller stuff. I love his stuff. Jeremy Spears, I'm a big fan of.
Did you get the Smuggler's Cove mug today?
Yes. I'm like, I love that. Like, that's kind of what draws me. So, I think, but yeah, I mean, there is obviously definitely a Disney thing too, though. The Tiki Room is like, I have a rule. And if you come out to LA, we'll go to Disneyland together, okay?
Which I will.
I have one rule, though. I have one rule when you go to Disneyland with me. And that is,
I don't know if I can abide by this, but okay.
If I get you into the park, you're going to abide by it.
Okay.
And it's a good rule. It's a good rule. It's a good rule. I don't care what time of day. It can be 9 a.m. in the morning. But the very first thing we have to do is the Enchanted Tiki Room. And we have to get a pineapple Dole Whip. And that is how you start the day with me. It's like, that is my favorite thing in the world. I think it like perfectly captures everything that Disney was trying to create at Disneyland. It's like this perfect, like, characters coming to life. It's fantasy. It's wonder. You're transported to this other world when the rain starts falling. I'm just like, I love that thing so much. And so, yeah, so that's, I do have a rule that when you come out,
dude, I will follow that 100%. It's so interesting.
You're free to do whatever you want. So
it's so interesting because, like, the first time you go to Disney, you want to do the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. You want to do Space Mountain.
Yeah.
You want to do, if you're at Disney World, Snow White's Mine Train.
Yeah.
And then I'm a pass holder, and over time, your priorities kind of shift. Yeah. And you do those just because you know you don't want to wait in the long lines. But at the end of the day, what you really want to be doing is you want to be sitting in the Enchanted Tiki Room. You want to be sitting on the People Mover, and you want to be seeing There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, which has zero weight, but is somehow like some of the most exciting, most riveting stuff you can do at the parks.
Absolutely. I got to post sometime too. You know what? For a while I was helping out Imagineering. I would go over and I was involved in some rides, and they actually just sent me a thing. I helped out on a Baymax ride for Tokyo. And they just last week sent me a thing of, I threw it out there as a joke of like, oh, we should have a tape dispenser in the line as like an emergency thing, like break this glass if you need tape. And so on the back of that tape dispenser station, they put my initials and my birthday, which I'm like, that's so crazy that my initials are at a park. But I'll have to post sometime. I went over for a brainstorming because they were doing Shanghai Disneyland. And they were doing a new Pirates ride. And they were just kind of looking at like, I don't know what we want to do. We've got some ideas, but let's have a brainstorming session. So we're going to bring over some story people, some animators, and we're going to draw up some ideas in the room and talk about stuff. I showed up with like 50 drawings because I was like, come on. How often do you get this chance to to not ever come close to anything Mark Davis did, but how do you get this chance to draw some ideas up? So I showed up and they were like, okay, so let's start the conversation. I was like, I have these. And I was just like showing one after another. And they're like, more. I was like, I'm so excited. I was even pitching at one point. I was like, Mark Davis should be a pirate. Like, you should actually make a Mark Davis animatronic with pirate hat and everything. Like, he should be like, pay your respects to the man. So some
Of course,
crazy
the whole time they're looking at your sketches, they're probably just like, yeah, and that's expensive, and that's expensive, and that's
pretty much
expensive.
that does factor into a lot of it. That's the hard thing about Imagineering is they're like, oh my God, that's, and there's a lot of things like I don't even think about where I'm just like blue sky where I'm like, go with this. And they're like, we can't build stairs. People have to go up ramps and all like that. No, like it doesn't work that way. It's like, no, it'll be great. But what do you do?
You brought up Big Hero 6. This is kind of a tangent, but I have to ask, why, when you're a voice actor, do you always play scary people?
I mean, I'm
You're such a,
typecast
like a
super-
kind-hearted, wholesome person. Why do you
I'm
always play
typecast
the
as
mean
these
person?
giant monsters. I don't know. I need an acting agent. They need to cast me in something else. I'm always the angry giants.
For people that don't know, if you've watched Frozen, he's the big abominable snowman
Yes.
that terrorizes everyone. He's also the in Big Hero 6.
Yama, the big
Yeah,
giant robot fighter at the beginning.
yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get those parts as voice actors?
Well, with animation, like we build a movie. We storyboard the whole thing. We build it, and then we're gonna watch it in the theater. So animation's expensive, and so that's really why we storyboard things. So you storyboard it just to look and say, is this working or not? And so we just ourselves do a lot of temp. We'll bring in actors, kind of day players, just to come in and do some temp acting. They're great actors. They come in, but better than anything anyone in the studio can do. But there's so many roles that you just throw anybody in there. You're okay, just read the lines, try to act, and then we'll see if it works or not in the screening. And that's, sometimes you get things where you go, okay, I'm just going to do this, knowing full well I'm going to be replaced. That's fine. I don't want to, this is not my day job. I'm not an actor. So, but then all of a sudden you get to the end of the production and they're like, well, we brought in somebody else to do the line, but it just didn't, like, now we're in love with it. So we're just going to keep it. And it's in the movie. And you're like, okay, all right. Nobody does angry monsters like you, Paul. So keep doing it.
Is there a character that you ended up voice recording that you don't like?
No, I think they're all fine. They're all such small 2-bit parts that it doesn't really, like if it was a bigger thing, it'd bother me a lot, but they're all just little small things. So it doesn't bother me too much.
That's so fun, dude.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got to tell you about my tiki. Are you ready for this?
Your tiki?
So I'm making a tiki mug.
Oh, yes. 100% I am ready.
Okay.
I've been ready for months.
Well, I've been, so part of the beauty of like having like my job, like daytime job of like making a movie is I'm just going to start designing stuff and just have fun. Like, I'm just going to have fun. And so, and with me, like so much of it is, as you know, like it's all about timing with me. Like if you can catch me in a certain window and I'm free, I'm in.
I'm just going to send you messages all the time now. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
But it's like, I've got like, I have a movie and then I'm doing the children's book and then, and I had some other things going on, but a while back, I think it was like May, these guys reached out to me and I had actually met them because I went down in South kind of, it's by the beach. I think maybe Hermosa Beach. I'm not sure. I'm probably wrong on that. But there's a place called Purple Orchid. I had ordered this mug from David and Josh, who run the Lost Temple Traders. And
fantastic guys.
Mug. Yeah, great guys. Really like them. I love Tiki Diablo. That dude is incredible, like amazing artist, like just top of his game. And so I bought this mug that they had made, and Tiki Diablo designed it. It was this salesman mug, and I was like, I'm gonna get this thing. And they're like, we'll ship it to you. And I was like, no way, I'm gonna drive down there. I'm gonna drive down to this tiki bar and get it. And I'm gonna meet Danny, like I'm gonna meet Tiki Diablo, which is the beauty of being out here, honestly. Of like, you can go down there and meet these guys. So I drove down there, and I met David and Josh, super nice guys. Really loved, I love the mug. And I was sitting there and I was waiting around for Danny to show up. And I was like, well, I thought he would be here at this time, but he was late. And so I hung around for another 30 minutes. And then he kind of came rolling in. And I was like, damn, I have to go. Like,
Oh, no.
So I know it looks really bad, but I was like, I walked up and I was like, hey, man, he had just walked in the door. I was like, hey, could you sign my mug? And he was like, oh, what? Let me, I want to chill out and get a drink, and then I'll start signing mugs. And I'm like, all of a sudden it made me feel like that guy at, who was like, I'm going to get this signed and sell it on eBay. I felt like that, where I was like,
Yeah.
no, I need you to sign it. I got to go. And he was just like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, this looks so bad on me right now. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you want a drink. I just want a signature. But I was like, I have to go somewhere. So he was super nice. He was like, oh, yeah, cool. So he signed it and I left. But I love it. I love the mug. I love what those guys did. So May, they reached out to me and they're like, hey, we're thinking about doing this artist series on the head salesman. And David sent me this picture he did. Tiki Rob made one custom for him, which is super, super cool. And he was like, do you want to take a pass on this mug too? And I was like, yeah, I think that's really fun. I think that'd be really cool to do a series like that. I love that idea of different artists taking a pass on something, which I agreed to it. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what I do though. I don't know what, all of a sudden all these questions come up of what is your style? What do you do? And so I was like, all right, so I'm going to show you some designs. Is that all right? Can I show you the design?
Yeah, I'm ready. If Instagram cuts us off, I'll
How much time do we have?
We've exceeded the time, and
Oh,
Instagram
no.
hasn't cut us off. So that's
no.
good fortune on our parts.
Oh,
Fingers
boy.
crossed.
I have been talking too much. I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you, dude.
Okay, so I started doing this mug design, and I don't know if you can. Oh my God, you see that?
It's classic Tiki Tum, man.
So you want to see the mold? They made a mold.
Wait, the mold's already done? Why are you asking rhetorical questions?
This is the mold of it. It is super cool. Okay, wait.
That is insane.
So today, David brought this by. So Bauer Pottery, which is a local pottery place in LA, does amazing work.
Fantastic work. Yep.
When we started doing it, David and Josh were like, so they knew what I loved, what kind of style I loved, the tiki mugs I loved. And they're like, you know what? There's a guy who did a mug that you love, who sculpted that mug. Let's get that guy to sculpt this mug. And I was like, can you make that happen? Is that possible? And they're like, yeah. Dave Cohen, who goes by Squid, did this.
Fantastic artist.
A couple of my favorite mugs. And they're like, we'll get him to sculpt this mug. So he started sculpting this mug, and I was like, I love it. I had very little notes because he was nailing everything. So, which got me super excited. I love working with artists who are very collaborative.
Yep.
Started just cranking on this thing, making tiny little adjustments and everything. So David just dropped this off today, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, you have it glazed?
It's crazy. I love it so much.
That's so fantastic.
It's super, super cool. Look at the bottom of it. It's got me, Squid, and Lost Temple Traders on it.
Oh my God.
So
that's your first Tiki mug.
It's my first Tiki mug. It's super, super cool. I am so excited.
As far as anyone having that be their first Tiki mug, that's insane.
It is really, really beautiful. Those guys did an amazing. It's been great working with them. They're very, very collaborative, which is, I've gotten a lot of offers to make mugs, and it is really important to find the right sculptor. And just working with them and Squid, I've been really happy of just making something that's really kind of, it's not only my thing, it's like multiple people's input of making something. So it looks really, really good. I'm really,
100%.
they're going to start, I think it's going to be December is when they're going to kind of push it out, and they're going to do 2 versions, which I'm super, super excited about. And
Okay.
they're also going to put it at I think also was really important was putting it kind of at a price, like really high quality, but at a price that makes just absolute sense and people can afford it. And so I'm super excited just for like kind of what we decided on, what we're going to do. So it's good. It's a really good place.
Tiki Tum, Lost Temple Traders, Squid, and Bauer. Dude,
Yeah.
that's a mashup.
That's a really good thing. It's a really, really good, like, just a bunch of artists coming together to make something really nice. I mean, Bauer's, I visited Bauer once a long time ago, but I never knew they did tiki stuff. So I love just kind of their process, and it was cool. I even went down there like a month ago and met the guy who's kind of running things, and David was there, and I took my son and just sitting there talking to him. He had found like all these slides from Tahiti, old like slides, not his. He bought it in an estate sale, and he was printing them, and then he just had them all there. And it was like super cool. And my son was sitting on this stool, and the guy was like, "That stool you're sitting on is like 200 years old." It had like some boar's hair, boar's hide as the seat. It was super cool. I was like, man, I love this place. Super cool. So, but not only that, I will say also, this is also something I've got going on. I also have a Club 33 mug that will be
No,
a matter of time, but that's
it
coming.
ain't so.
That's coming, and it is very cool too. So I've got 2 things that are going on,
Dude.
but I'm excited that the Head Salesman's my first mug, and then the Club 33 will be my second mug. So
Is Club 33 even open?
I don't think so. Hopefully it'll be open by the time this comes out. So
How did that come about?
oh man, I love what they do at Club 33. I love the mugs they made. I love the hitchhiker and the
Who doesn't?
Yeah, those hot though. You know, even you. The first time I saw your IG live story, I was like, oh my god, all those mugs in your background. I love them. And so I just did some research, kind of snooping through Disney. I was like, who makes these things? And found the guy, and I emailed him. I was like, dude, I love your work. I love what you're doing. Do you want to come up to the studio and see some Araya? And he's like, yeah. So he came up, and we just kind of spent a portion of the day just talking and having lunch and just kind of talking about stuff. And I showed him. I was like, yeah, man, I've been doing these little stupid tiki things on the side. Do you want to see them? And he was looking at him. He's like, yeah. And he was like, we should make a mug together. And I was like, yes, let's do it. So it's kind of been a long process, you know, kind of with everything happening, pandemic and everything, but it's happening. It's exciting. So
Isn't that crazy just how things happen like that?
Yeah. It's, again, I think it's just one of those things of like, just find people that love making stuff and are friendly. And like, I feel like I try to be that, where I'm like, let's just have some fun. Let's just make some stuff, you know? So even at Disney Animation, it's like, there are a couple of people here that I love so deeply, because I'm just like, I love making movies with you. Like Don Hall, he's a good friend of mine. Chris Williams is over at Netflix. He's a good friend of mine. And I'm like, I don't care where we're at. Let's just help each other make movies, make some good stuff. So, yeah.
So incredible.
Yeah.
I have to ask, I've been waiting, as I'm sure a lot of people have been. I love your drawings. You've mentioned it kind of in the past that Prince might be coming.
Yeah.
Is it coming?
It is.
When
Yeah,
can I
you know what?
hang Tiki Tum art on my wall?
I am. I've been kind of, it's been so slow just because the movie, and I've been doing this children's book. The movie's been taking up so much of my time. So, but it is starting to wind down just now. And so I'm anticipating that in November, beginning of November, I'm going to start researching. I've done some like test prints through companies, and I found one that I really love. It's a matter of like, I gotta, you know, I mean, setting up the website you did is incredible, but it's, It's a labor of love. There's a lot of work. I know the stuff you do. I'm like, I don't know. You're the one who's uploading all those mugs. I know, and that's a lot of work.
Unfortunately, yes.
Cleaning them
I
up,
wish it
getting
weren't
images.
true. I wish I didn't have to upload all of those mugs individually, but it's true.
It's crazy. So I'm in that place where I'm like, I just need some time to like just do it. Like just kind of get a site together, get the prints that I'm happy with, and be able to, you know, provide. I kind of want to. I really want to do a. I've been finding these little pop-up locations you can rent in LA for like 3 months, and so I really want to do like a kind of an opening and just have like all my prints. Maybe hire a band and just make some drinks and just have people over and just like let everyone just like check it out and see what they like. I'll tell you what. I have 3 test prints right now here. Which one? I'm going to send you one. Which one do you want? There's this one, which is like all these heads.
Oh my God.
There's that one. There's a Papua New Guinea one, which is like guys on a boat in some masks. Or there's this one, which is like a lady playing ukulele.
Dude,
some
how?
birds.
I can't answer that question.
Pick one, I'll mail it to you. Which one do you
How
want?
am I supposed to answer that question?
Pick one, I'll mail it to you. Just pick one. It's easy. Which goes best with the decor in your house?
Where's
Let's see
the
if
check all of the above?
Okay, just pick one. Papao, masks, or the wahine.
The first one, Papao.
All right. Send me your address. I'm gonna ship it out to you then.
You are a hero, dude. You are a scholar and a gentleman, as they say.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a matter of like, you know, just it's time. It's all time. Just trying to build stuff and put stuff online. So I get distracted. I get distracted by life, like having fun. I like to just draw and do other things rather than build websites. But yeah.
I think I've heard you say when you start having like dreams at night, you just bust out the Game Boy.
I did. Yeah, I've done that for a long time. I couldn't sleep because my brain is just like, my story brain is just like constantly trying to solve. I imagine it's like a Rubik's Cube, like constantly trying to solve story things or make things better. So I have a process where I do have an old Game Boy. I don't use it as much anymore, only because I've gotten to the point where I can.
You've accepted things.
Well, I make notes and little kind of like quick drawings, and I go, okay, I'm good. I'll get back to that. But I used to not do that, which would keep me awake a lot at night, and I just had to. It's almost like you got to shift your brain into like first gear because you're just going. You're in 5th gear all day, and then it's like, okay, slow down, pump the brakes. Let's slow down. So.
I would love on a separate level from this Instagram if you could share those notes with me, because I would, if I could master that talent, I would be so much better off.
I have so many drawings that I never post that I'm always like, no, not yet. Not yet.
You can send those to me. If you ever want to know, just send them to me. I would love to see them.
You'll be getting one in the mail here soon. So, yeah.
It's been fantastic talking to you. We have this mug to give away.
Give it away.
Haven Cove Customs. I wish they could have been talking to us earlier today.
Yes.
But we have their mug. We're going to give it away. I've already chosen a winner. The winner is...
stay on for that, or you want me to drop off?
You can stay on. You can
clap. I'm excited to hear who gets it. That's a cool mug.
It's Brittany Clark. Brittany Clark, congratulations. You won this mug.
That's a cool mug. Congrats, Brittany.
It is a cool mug. Yeah. I think I've run out of drink, too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I broke the mug that was supposed to be given away tomorrow. And of course, as the 13 Nights of Tiki Frights progresses, they were supposed to be progressively more and more expensive.
Yes.
I broke it.
Wow.
So, fortunately, Ralph on Trader Sam's Mug Trading Group on Facebook, which is a fantastic group, hooked me up with another mug.
That's cool.
Thank God for that.
Very
It
cool.
is tomorrow's giveaway, the Pumpkinhead Kid
Ooh.
by Tiki Tony.
Tiki Tony, super talented guy, man.
This is the replacement mug. I won't let you know what the broken one was, but this is a fantastic mug to back it up. Pumpkinhead Kid. It's going to go live on the website pretty soon. You can enter the giveaway. Search for tiki.com. Dude, Paul.
Dude, thank you so much. That was fun.
It's been so much fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday in the future we can talk in person.
Absolutely.
I have so many more questions. Hopefully I can ask them once Raya and the Last Dragon comes out.
One day. Come out here. We'll go to the park. We'll have fun. We'll go to Tiki Tea, Tonga Hut, so many places. So.
And I approve of your plan. We'll go to the Enchanted Tiki Room first. I will eat a Dole Whip. We can enjoy it together. It's going to be fantastic.
Awesome, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all the stuff you're doing, man. Great work, man. You're doing some awesome stuff. Great job of like bringing people together. So keep doing it.
I appreciate that so much. And thank you for making my dream come true. I missed D23, but I was able to talk to you anyways. It took a year, but destiny unfolded, and you've literally made my dream come true. So thank you so much, man.
Crazy well, man. All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.